The anime begins with our protagonist feeling very uncomfortable since he ended up in a room full of girls. They all stare at the boy who looks like a jerk in the middle of all these women. The teacher notices that the atmosphere in the classroom is very heavy and tries to lighten the mood, where she says that everyone in this room is part of the IS Academy students. It is considered a boarding school. Everyone stayed together even after school ended. He asks everyone to help each other because they will be forced to spend the next 3 years together. Even so, the teacher continues to find the place very hostile and asks everyone to introduce themselves to see if she can break the mood. The boy tries to ask his friend Hookie for help, but she turns her face away so that she won't talk to him. In his mind, it's just that the girl is being ungrateful since they've been friends since they were 6 years old. Suddenly Orimura is called by the teacher, who is all nervous, and the girls start laughing at him because they see that he is not comfortable with the situation. She asks him to introduce himself so that everyone in the room can see who the boy is. Orimura introduces himself to all the girls, who have their eyes shining, except for his childhood friend Hookie, who always looks away. Taking a deep breath, everyone wants something good to come out of the girl's mouth, but she says that's all, and all the girls fall off the table. Suddenly, Orimura ends up getting punched by Shifuyu, but she punches the boy in the head again and asks him to call her Orimura at school. Shifuyu thanks the teacher for taking attendance. However, Orimura wonders why her sister is in high school, because she rarely comes home because of her job. She introduces herself to everyone in the class and will train them for a year. The girls only have an orgasm because of the performance of the woman who is famous among all the students, but she is very embarrassed by having so many idiots who always shout her name when she enters the classroom. They always appear in her classroom. The girls would like to be cursed by them and mistreated as much as Shifuyu wants. Orimura is sad because her sister is her teacher, but she doesn't care, and if he fails, as always, she will be waiting for the boy so she can knock him over with a punch. Asking him to call her Orimura, she puts the boy's head on the table, and all the girls wonder if Orimura really is the brother of the most famous teacher in the school. They think that this must be why he is the only man in the world who can use the IS. Getting stressed, she will make everyone memorize all the IS commands in the next 6 months. Then it will be practice, and in 15 days she wants them to learn the basic maneuvers with their bodies. She wants everyone to agree with her, and if they don't agree, she wants them to answer the question anyway. Have you always wanted to draw your favorite anime characters but think you don't have the talent? Here on our channel we have the perfect solution for you. We've formed an exclusive partnership to teach you all how to draw anime quickly and easily. Even if you think you don't have the talent for it, you will learn from Noah Williams, one of the greatest experts in the world of anime. Drawing anime has never been so simple, and it doesn't matter if you are a beginner or already have some experience. From the first class you will see the results. You will learn very quickly. The link will be in the video description, and only you can access and learn today. Everyone answers, and Orimura remembers that his sister Shifuyu was one of the first generation of IS pilots to represent Japan. Then one day she retired and suddenly disappeared. Now he is sure that his sister has become a teacher loved by everyone. He turned out to be an idiot for worrying so much about his sister. The substitute teacher comments that everyone already knows that the proper name for the IS is Infinite Stratos. It is a multiform suit developed in Japan. When it was developed 10 years ago, it was originally designed to be operated in outer space, but currently development in that field has been suspended. Due to the Alaska Treaty, it is also forbidden to be used for military purposes. It is now used for sports competitions, and the IS Academy is the only educational institution in the world with the purpose of training IS pilots. Students come to the facility from all over the world to study to become pilots. Young people from various countries work daily to improve their skills, so from today onwards, they will study hard for the next 3 years. Orimura is scared because he has always been a complete bum. Furthermore, the IS can only be used by women, and Orimura is the only man who can perform such a feat. Although he himself cannot understand the reason behind it, he just agrees and shuts his mouth. Rumors are already circulating at school that Orimura is the only man in the world who can pilot the IS. Everyone knows that he managed to pilot the IS during the entrance exam. It ended up becoming news in every newspaper in the world. He entered this school as expected. The girls want to talk to him, but he doesn't have the courage, and Orimura is always embarrassed to be the center of attention. Suddenly, Hookie appears in front of him asking to go talk in a quieter place. When he is taken to the roof of the school, Orimura asks to know what she wants. He remembers that it has been about 6 years since they last saw each other. Embarrassed, she couldn't say a word, but Orimura had something to say to the girl. Last year, she failed to win the national kendo competition, so he congratulated the girl. But Hookie didn't understand how he managed to find out something important like that. Orimura only read the newspaper, but in this world few people read the newspaper, and Orimura was one of them. Furthermore, even though it had been 6 years since he had seen her, he knew immediately that she was Hookie. The girl's hairstyle remains the same, and she is quite embarrassed that the boy remembers something that shouldn't be so easy. For Orimura it is easy since they are both childhood friends. Looking at the boy with interest, he doesn't notice and is always in the clouds. When suddenly the bell rang and several girls were watching them talking as if they were a couple. The girls wonder if Hookie really knows Orimura. The boy leaves the room so they can go back to the classroom. The teacher asks if anyone has any questions. However, Orimura is desperate because he doesn't understand almost anything that is is written in the IS book. What is on his mind is that he won't be able to remember everything that is written in that book, and the teacher asks if he has any questions or something like that. Orimura tells the teacher that he hasn't been able to understand anything so far. Desperate, she asks the class if anyone else doesn't understand what IS is. No one raises their hand. The only idiot in the class is Orimura. Shifuyu would like to know if he read the reference book before entering this school. Orimura made a mistake and threw the book away, getting beaten up again by his sister. Later she will give him a copy so he can memorize everything in a week. Orimura knows that there is no way he can read it in a week. With a deadly look, he already understood and will try to do it in just 1 week and will not say a peep anymore. Meanwhile, a girl keeps staring at Orimura. Suddenly, she appears asking if he has time. The boy didn't say anything and she was already all offended. Orimura should be honored just for being able to speak to her. Orimura doesn't know who the girl really is to be formal. She gets indignant and introduces herself as Cecilia. She is the official speaker of the entrance exam and the student candidate to represent England. Orimura, I would like to ask a question. Getting all full of herself since nobles have to answer questions from commoners. Orimura doesn't know that he is a student and a candidate for representative. All the girls in the room fall head over heels on the table and are shocked because Orimura is so dumb. She doesn't believe something like that. Are all the men in Japan as lacking in knowledge as Orimura, or is it just him? Even so, I would like to know what a candidate representing the country is. She explains that they are people from the elite chosen as candidates to represent the country as an IS pilot. She is from the elite, a mix of miracle and luck being his classmate. In a sarcastic way, Orimura answers that he is lucky, but she did not feel firm in the boy's words. But she does not understand how he managed to enter this school without understanding basic things. In addition to having discovered that he is the only man who can control an IS, so she expected more from the boy. Orimura, he knows that everyone doesn't expect anything from him. Even so, the girl thinks she's an amazing person and she'll even be kind to him out of charity, even though she's incapable of understanding something simple and has no brains. After all, she's one of the elite among the elite who defeated an instructor during the entrance exam. Orimura replies that he also defeated an instructor, and Cecilia is shocked by the sudden news. Orimura explains that the instructor came at him thinking it would be easy to beat him, so she dodged and crashed into the wall and was dismissed. Cecilia reminds him that only she could have achieved this feat. She gets irritated because he managed to defeat an instructor. Asking her to calm down a little, he notices that she is stressed. Because of this scandal, she can't even sleep at night anymore. The bell rings, and then both continue the important conversation they were having and keep an eye on the boy. Returning home, Orimura is full of girls following him wherever he goes. He didn't know his first day would be like this. He can even see his future under bad stars. Upon entering her new room, she suddenly starts hearing a voice and tries to hide. However, Hooky appears in front of her room with a towel covering her and is embarrassed by her lover's presence. Asking him not to look, she asks why he is in her room. He replies that he happened to be the girl's roommate. He realizes that they are both in the same room. Taking his sword, he goes after him without further ado. Locking himself outside, he almost gets hit in the head with a club. Managing to dodge several blows, he ends up getting hit in the butt with a club and thrown to the ground. Orimura asks if he is really trying to kill him. Suddenly, several women appear in the room asking what is happening. They notice that this room belongs to him now. Everyone is very happy to know that now they can escape to his room whenever they want. Orimura begs Hooky to open the door because he is in a bad situation and needs help. As he gets dressed, he asks her to come into the room so they can talk. Sitting down, I would like to have the corner bed. But in Hooky's mind, that's how the two of them became roommates. Orimura also doesn't know how this could happen since men and women don't share beds after they turn 7. It's called common sense. Orimura doesn't understand what logic this is, but Orimura agrees that 15 years old is too young to be in the same room. Men and women sharing a bed, but in reality they will live together, but in separate beds, and there is no problem with that at all. What comes to the girl's mind is that Orimura had asked for them to be put in the same room. Orimura would never do something so stupid. Feeling embarrassed, she goes after the boy, but Orimura manages to stop the blow, but this time it was just barely. But she is angry because he said that this is stupid. Suddenly the girls open the door and notice that Hyoka is a very bold girl for her age. She asks him not to try to get an advantage over the other girls. They like to see a little more. However, the fight ended too soon. Since they are both going to live in the same room, they will have to establish some rules so that they can live in harmony. The first rule is about the hours of shower use. She wants to use it from 6 to 7 and the same from 8 to 9. But the boy would like to use the shower a little earlier. She has to take a shower early because of the club. She can't use the bathroom because she doesn't feel relaxed. The boy reminds her that there are some bathrooms outside the room and if she wants to go there she will meet several women. He asks her to stop thinking about things like that. She is ashamed to know that he has been looking for perverted interests during the years she hasn't seen him. Threatening to hit the boy, Orimura runs to get a sword and defend himself, but he notices that there is a bra right at the end and he is all embarrassed and doesn't know what to do. Hooky goes crazy and asks him to give it back as soon as possible, but he can't see exactly what it is. But in the boy's head, it's that she started wearing a bra and gets slapped in the face. The next day, he would like her to talk to her again since she is very angry about yesterday's unforeseen event. She says she's not mad. Orimura notices that she has a look of disgust on her face, but that's the only face she has and she can't live without it. While she's eating, she keeps hearing people say that he's the brother of the genius Shifuyu, but the real question that comes to mind is whether he's really as strong as his sister. Suddenly, several girls appear asking if they can sit next to her. Seeing no problem, they now know that they should have asked to sit next to the boy beforehand. While they are talking, Hooky gets angry and leaves his side. The girls are curious and ask if they both have some special relationship for her to be so jealous. Orimura replies that they are just childhood friends. When they were both in first grade, they started going to the same kendo dojo. Then they stayed in the same class until fourth grade. While they were talking, Shifuyu suddenly appears and asks them to hurry up as soon as possible so they can go to training. She is the dormitory supervisor for first-year students. If they arrive late to school, she will make them run 10 laps around the school track. Now Orimura understands why her sister rarely comes home. When she arrives at the classroom, she wants everyone to decide together who will be the class representative who will compete in the interclass tournament. The class representative not only competed in the tournament but also attended student council and committee meetings. He could be considered the class leader. All the girls nominated Orimura, but he didn't want to do it, and Cecilia protested. This kind of selection was unacceptable. Having a man as the class representative was something shameful in the girl's eyes. She wouldn't be able to study for a whole year in the midst of all this. Living in a country with such an underdeveloped culture is an unbearable pain for him. Orimura replies that in England there are few things to be proud of. Sometimes the girl's parents won the annual award for worst cuisine. For her, there are many delicious foods in her country, and she asks him not to insult her. Shifuyu is enjoying this discussion between the two all the time. She proposes a duel against the boy, who accepts without thinking twice. Instead of arguing, it's better to settle the matter with brute force. If he loses on purpose, he'll make him your employee. No, worse, your slave. Orimura asks how much of an advantage she wants in the fight. All the girls start laughing at the boy. Men used to be stronger than women, but that was before the invention of the IS. They say that if men and women went to war, it wouldn't last 3 days. Orimura remembers that this is true and now he's screwed up. Cecilia would like to give the boy a little advantage because she's in front of him. She didn't know that Japanese men had a good sense of humor. One of the girls says that it's not too late to change your mind. Orimura replies that a man will never change his mind, no matter what happens. All the girls know that he is underestimating the maiden. Since everyone has decided that the battle will take place next Monday, it will take place in the third arena of the school. I want you both to make sure that you prepare well for this fight that you are going to have. Later at school, your sister will talk about the boy's IS. The preparations will take some time to complete. There are no spare units, so it seems that the school is going to prepare a personal unit for him. All the girls are jealous that this will happen soon for a newbie like him. Now they know that the government is supporting him, and the dream of all the girls now is to have a personal unit too, just like Orimura. Orimura, don't you think that's all that great? Suddenly Cecilia appears in front of him, saying that she is happy to hear that. The duel will be for the title of class representative. Although it is already known who will be the winner of this match, it would be unfair to use a personal unit while he will use the training unit. Orimura asks if she has one too, but as a good friend, she offers enlightenment to a commoner like him. Out of 7 billion people in the world, there are only 467 with IS. Only the elite of the elite have their own unit. The technology used to create the IS core has never been revealed. Currently, all 467 IS cores were manufactured exclusively by Dr. Shinono Tabane, Hookie's sister. The IS core is a black box. No one other than Dr. Shinono can create one. She also refuses to create any additional hubs that exceed the allotted amount. At the moment, countries, companies, and organizations have no choice but to use the hubs assigned to them to conduct research. Usually the only people with personal IS are representatives of countries and large corporations. Since in this case the situation calls for it, a personal unit has been prepared for Orimura to collect more data. Suddenly one of the girls asks if Hooky is the doctor's sister, and the teacher answers yes. Soon all the girls are shocked by the sudden news. The whereabouts of the doctoral student Shinono are currently unknown. She asks to know where the girl is. Hooky shouts for everyone to hear that she has nothing to do with her sister. There is nothing he can say about it, and the room goes completely silent again. After all this discussion, Shifuyu asks Yamada to continue the class. Orimura knows that Hokai and Shinono had a very bad relationship when they were children. It is explained to us that the IS, or Infinite Stratos, envelopes the pilot's entire body in a barrier composed of energy. It has something similar to a will of its own, and by communicating with its pilot, the IS and its pilot will share a mutual understanding. Not only that, but the longer the IS is piloted, the more it will begin to learn more about the pilot's characteristics. Even so, Orimura still can't understand the relationship between Hooky and her sister. For Yamada, an IS is not a tool, but a companion. Looking around, Orimura notices that Hokai is very sad, and today he hasn't even talked to the people in class. When the bell rings, it's time for recess, and he asks if she'd like to go eat. When she doesn't answer, he calls the girls so they can go together, and he'd like her to socialize a little more with her classmates. But at the moment she's fine. Orimura takes the girl by the arm and asks if she doesn't want to go for a walk with everyone. If she doesn't want to go, he'd like to carry her on his back. Annoyed, she already said no, so she throws the boy on the floor, and everyone in the room is shocked shocked by Hookie's rudeness. Orimura notices that she has managed to gain some additional skills since the last time, but in reality it was he who has become weaker than he used to be. For her, this is nothing more than his skill with swords. But the girls soon refuse to go to dinner together. Staring at the girl, she asks if she has anything to say to her. Orimura just wants her to go eat, and so she takes her hand so she can walk quickly, thus leading her as if they were a beautiful couple. In the food line, he asks her not to be such a tense person. After all, he is showing great consideration for the girl. Normally, Orimura wouldn't do this like anyone else even if someone asked him to do something like this, but with her it's different since they are childhood friends. She was very embarrassed. Orimura remembers that the girl's family took great care of him, so he owes them this gesture of gratitude. Thanking him, they both take their food and head to the table. As they sit down, Orimura would like to know a little more about IS. At this rate, he won't be able to do anything in the fight he will have against Cecilia. In a rude way, he responds that he accepted it, so he should find a way to train alone. Orimura begs for help with this little problem that he has brought into his life. Suddenly, a girl appears who has heard that he is the person rumored to have challenged a candidate for representative. But he is nothing more than a shipwright who can't even fly a plane, and if he wants, he would like to teach the boy how to fly. Hookie sees that there is no need at all and goes to teach the boy how to fly. But she knows that Hookie is also nothing more than a novice when it comes to flying the IS. She is a third-year student and would be perfect as Orimura's tutor. But Hookie comments that her sister is the one who created the IS, so there is no one better than her to teach someone how to fly. Then she leaves the place sulking after being counter-argued. Orimura doesn't understand why she did all this since she didn't want to teach him at any time. They both start training against each other, being thrown to the ground. She would like to know the reason why he became so weak after the years they spent apart. Orimura has been in the club and has never missed a day for 3 years of his life. Even so, Hookie will train him so that he can get good before he gets the IS and can use it. From now on, she will train him for 3 hours straight without rest every day after class. Orimura asks him to wait a bit. He would like to be trained only on the IS, but she replies that this is the first problem he must overcome. Meanwhile, some girls in the background are saying that he is too weak, and they wonder if he will really be able to operate the IS. Meanwhile, changing clothes, Hookie wonders if she was too harsh with Orimura, but deep down she knows that she must be this way so that she can learn as soon as possible and not get beaten up by the girl. He hasn't picked up a sword in about a year and needs to train and get stronger as soon as possible. Otherwise he wouldn't have lost to her in such an embarrassing way. She hasn't seen him in 6 years. And not that she sees him after 6 years, he's changed a lot and is no longer the same person she knew. They used to train together in the past and now she only thinks about the moment they had holding hands. Giggling, she regains her composure. Starting tomorrow, she will have special training every day after school. This means she will be able to be alone with Orimura all the time. Feeling embarrassed, she knows in her mind that she doesn't think that way about the boy, but deep down she likes him anyway. The scene changes to the two of them in an empty room and Orimura remembers that the agreement was that she would train him so he would learn about IS. Getting irritated, she turns her face away, but for a week the two of them only trained kendo and didn't evolve at all in IS. But she has no choice in the matter. The boy's IS hasn't arrived yet, so they can't waste time. Orimura knows that even though she doesn't have an IS, she needs to practice the basics and her knowledge about it. But every time they talk, she turns her face away. Looking at the monitor, Orimura notices Cecilia training with her personal unit. Suddenly Yamada appears saying that the boy's personal IS has arrived and they need to see how it is and its power. Shifuyu asks her brother to get ready as quickly as possible. There is a set time to use the arena. She asks him to go as soon as possible and do his best so that he has a chance to defeat the girl. When he opens a door, Orimura's personal IS, Bakushiki, is there. Orimura asks him to come in quickly so they can train in the arena. They are all out of time at the moment. He will have to adjust to the arena. When he touches it, Orimura feels a strange sensation and it seems very different from the first time he touched an IS. Now he feels comfortable and this all makes sense to the boy. Upon entering, he notices that the system is very modern and its units are incredible. It is explained that the boy's IS is a sniper. The IS has a system called Absolute Defense. The system is proprietary to protect the pilot's life even in the worst possible scenario. But the process consumed a lot of shield energy. Shifuyu asks to know how the boy feels, but he is already ready to go to the arena. Leaving for the battlefield, Cecilia will give him one more chance so that he can surrender and not be embarrassed on the battlefield. Orimura does not accept it and now she will not give him any more chances. Before even knowing how it works, he tries to defend the girl's blow but fails. Being thrown to the ground, the girls are afraid of what might happen on this battlefield. Shooting several times, Orimura still can't control the reactions of his IS. Orimura is on the shield at all times and if he continues like this he will lose. He needs to advance to defeat the girl. Taking the sword he decides to go after the girl, but she realizes that the boy is nothing more than a fool to try to take down a sniper with a mere sword. Shooting at the girl, he is managing to dodge the blows and she notices that he is the first rookie who has managed to last so long against her blue tears. Thanks to this, he deserves a compliment and Orimura thanks him. Continuing to shoot, Orimura dodged the blows and it was time for all or nothing. Getting down to the ground, he starts to skate to dodge the girl's blows. Continuing to dodge, the girl is starting to get scared of what might happen in this fight. Everyone doesn't doesn't understand how he has the courage to go into hand-to-hand combat. Even so, he continues to advance without being afraid of anything. Meanwhile, she continues to shoot at him and Orimura uses his kendo skills to wield a sword. Orimura managed to understand how the girl's blows work, and thanks to that he began to have an advantage in the fight. Yamada notices that he is doing well, but Shifuyu realizes that by the blows he is being very careless and going for it without thinking about anything. He is closing his left hand, and every time he does this he ends up making a stupid mistake. Returning to the battlefield, Orimura noticed that she always aims her last shot at him when he moves. By being able to dodge, she will have an advantage when approaching her. But she did all this so that he would fall into a trap, and he fell like a duckling. Hitting him with several missiles, he still managed to get out alive, and the girl was impressed by the boy's resistance. Orimura's special unit has transformed and is now even stronger. Cecilia is amazed that he has been fighting until now only with the default settings of his armor. Orimura doesn't know what happened at that exact moment, but it seems that this unit has finally become his. Upon seeing it, the boy notices that the same weapon that his sister used to use has appeared in his inventory. Orimura is happy to have the best sister in the world, but it is time to put an end to this relationship of being the family's protege. From now on, he will protect himself and his family. For now, he will protect his sister's name. If he loses this fight, it will look like she is weak, and she never wants that. Cecilia is upset and starts sending several missiles at him, and Orimura can see all the moves against her. As he is about to deliver the final blow to the girl, the battle ends and Cecilia emerges as the great winner. He asks his sister why he lost the battle. She answers that he used the shield nullification attack. This is what is achieved by disregarding the characteristics of the weapon you are using. It can damage the opponent directly after penetrating their shield. This is Yukihira's special ability. It is a function that converts shield energy into attack power. This ability was the key to his victory in the Mondo Grasso Championship. Now Orimura understands why his IS loses energy so quickly. In combat against other ISs, Orimura should lose when he runs out of shield energy. The shield nullification attack damages the opponent while consuming shield energy, so it can be said that it is a double-edged sword. Therefore, the boy's unit has some flaws, but she decides to rephrase the sentence. Since the enemy, the IS has never been perfect, and also the opposite of flawed. Basically, it means that the IS is specialized to attack more than the other ISs. The boy's IS is currently on standby, but he can use it whenever he wants. There are rules, so he asks you to read them as soon as possible. Orimura notices that it is a book with many pages and is already discouraged from reading it in its entirety. The scene changes to Cecilia, who is quite surprised by the strength that Orimura has in her hands. Returning home, Orimura is sad because the girl won the fight and will become the class representative. Orimura does not understand why Hooky has been staring at him so much since they are returning to the dormitory. She asks if he is down about losing this fight. The boy is a little, because he managed to hold his own on the battlefield. But starting tomorrow, she wants to include IS training in the schedule. This time, she will teach the boy the right way. Orimura feels more comfortable with her than with the other girls. As Shinono's sister, she must know a lot about IS. So, starting today, the girl will teach several classes for it, so she asks him to try his best to do well in the training. She wants him to check if he will have free time after classes from tomorrow. So, they both go back to the dormitory together. While taking a shower, Cecilia is feeling something uncomfortable in her chest. Even though she knows that she was the one who won, can't stop thinking about Orimura at any moment. The scene changes to everyone on the battlefield where they are going to practice some basic IS moves. Orimura and Cecilia fly to show the others how it really works. The girl manages to transform with extreme ease, and Orimura is not able to activate his IS. By concentrating, he manages to bring his equipment. Asking to fly, Cecilia is doing it with class, but Orimura is having a hard time because he is not used to the IS. His sister asks him to concentrate more because among all the ISs, his is the most promising. Cecilia gives the boy a tip. It is more effective to find a way that suits you by imagining how you can fly. Orimura still feels that the sensation of flying is something very strange. But if everything is okay, she doesn't see any problem in giving the boy some tips on how to fly correctly. When they finish the sentence, they are suddenly called and asked to try to execute a sudden dive followed by a complete stop. Cecilia poses masterfully, however Orimura ends up landing in the most ridiculous way possible. Everyone is worried, but everything is fine, they just don't know how to land correctly. Suddenly, Cecilia appears running over everyone to see if Orimura. When she says that everything is fine, she calms down a little more. Even though everything is fine, she thinks it's best for the boy to be taken to the nurse for medical care. Hooky doesn't think it's necessary. People don't get hurt when they're using an IS. Cecilia gets up and says that it's normal to worry about people when something serious usually happens. The two argue with each other, but Orimura doesn't understand what's going on for the two of them to be so upset. The scene changes to them all congratulating Orimura for becoming class representative. Cecilia explains that she gave up and that's why the title was given to the boy. She knows it's normal for him to have lost to her, but she's seen her childish temper again and knows she was too rude to him, and she's going to allow Orimura to be the class representative. The girls notice that Cecilia is trying to get ahead of all the girls. You know how she does it to please the only guy in the school. Hooky is jealous because Orimura has become someone very popular among the girls. Suddenly the journalism club EnglishDub shows up at the scene asking Cecilia and Orimura to take a picture together so they can put it on the cover. They both stand up and hold hands, smiling and asking for them to come a little closer so that the photo will be better. When taking the photo, she notices that all the girls have stood up and Cecilia is very uncomfortable with what happened. None of them want to let Cecilia have an advantage with the only boy in school. The scene changes to the two of them together inside the room. Hooky is quite jealous since the boy is becoming a very popular person among the girls. However, he was very tired and didn't want to take so many photos. Orimura asked her if she would be happy if she were in his place. Getting irritated, she certainly would be, so she threw the pillow in the boy's face. Then she asked him to turn around quickly so she could put on her pajamas to sleep, but next time Orimura thought it would be better if he changed in the bathroom. Every time, Orimura keeps rolling her eyes to try to see the girl as she was born. After putting on the robe, she wants the boy's approval and he looks like a jerk. After he only notices the girl's clothes, her mood changes and she asks him to go to sleep soon. Turning off the lights, she apologizes for what happened today. She was very angry with the boy, but he doesn't hold a grudge and forgives the girl. The scene shifts to him at school, where the girls are talking about changing the class representative for class 2. She has been replaced by a newly transferred student. She is a girl from China. Cecilia says that it was only because of her position that she decided to transfer. Orimura asks her if she is strong. One of the girls comments that only people from classes 1 and 4 have their own IS. Suddenly the girl appears and says that this information is wrong. The class representative of class 2 also has a personal IS, so they didn't win easily. Orimura remembers that this girl's name is Rin. She is a candidate for representative of China. She came to the classroom just to declare war on all of them. Cecilia gets jealous because she seems to be very close to Orimura. The boy replies that this seriousness doesn't suit her at all and Shifuyu appears and punches her so she stops causing a ruckus in the classroom. Then she asks her to go back to her classroom quickly. Before leaving, she promises to return to his class and asks him not to run away. In the food line, Orimura was quite surprised to learn that Rin is the transfer student from class 2. She wishes she had told her earlier. Rin knows that if she had told him, it would have ruined the dramatic reunion between the two. Orimura noticed that she is still afraid of Shifuyu. She just doesn't get along with her and that's all. They both start talking as if they were very close friends, which makes all the girls very jealous of how close they are. Orimura asks her when she became a candidate for representative, but she didn't say and she saw in the newspaper that he had been accepted into this school. Orimura also didn't imagine that she would end up in a place like this. She heard that he manipulated an IS through the newspaper. Orimura never imagined that he would end up in a place like this. She asks him how he got accepted there. Orimura remembers that the entrance exams were in a common hall, but he got lost and asked the staff, but he wasn't sure either. He was walking aimlessly and when he ended up entering the room, he rang and realized that the same person had called. All the girls were surprised that a man was able to activate an IS. Many things happened after that, and finally he was placed in this school. Rin thinks this story is very strange and suddenly the jealous girls appear asking for an explanation. Why is he going out with this girl? Orimura doesn't understand why they are so jealous like that. They are both just childhood friends and nothing more. Rin was very uncomfortable when she said this. He explains that when Hooky was transferred, Rin arrived. Orimura had mentioned Hooky before and called one her second childhood friend and the other her second. They both introduced themselves to each other and promised that they would get along well. Cecilia felt left out and introduced herself as the representative of England. She explained that the other day she was in an intense battle to decide who would be class representative. As she continues explaining, the girl asks if Orimura really became the class representative and he answers yes. She would like him to supervise her training if possible. Cecilia asks if he heard what she said, but at the moment Rin is not interested in the girl and did not hear anything she said. Hooky is angry because of teaching that Orimura is part of her job and no one will take that away from her. Since she is part of class 2, they will not accept help from the enemy. Rin asks them to leave the place. She is talking to Orimura and at no time did she call the two busybodies to the subject. Cecilia comments that she appeared out of nowhere and wants to sit by the window, but in reality the girl appeared much earlier than she did. The two had many lunches at her house, so she asks him not to get too cocky. Rin says that he has also had lunch at her house many times. He always went to her house whenever he felt like it, since elementary school. Hooky would like to know more about this, why he used to go to another girl's house and never told her about it. Orimura explains that he was just going to Rin's family's Chinese restaurant. Hooky is relieved since it was just a restaurant. She gets nervous about saying that and Orimura wants to know how the girl's father is doing. She says he's doing well, rings the bell and leaves the place. After classes and the end of training, she goes to the boys' room, but she asks to be free. The scene changes to the battlefield where Hooky got permission to participate using an IS to train Orimura. Getting jealous, Cecilia also wants to train the boy and the two leave him in a deplorable state. After a long challenge, the boy is still to blame for not being in good physical condition. Orimura is not used to fighting against two people, so he asks for a rest and next time he will certainly be better. Hooky asks them to go back to the room together. Orimura wants her to go first, but at the moment she can't move. What remains in the boy's mind is that it will be like this until the interclass tournament. Suddenly, Rin appears at the scene offering the boy some drinks. She is quite embarrassed since the two of them are alone alone in a room and asks if he felt lonely after she left. Orimura thinks it's normal to feel lonely after losing some friends. But she doesn't mean it that way, since they are childhood friends and meeting them again after so long is something special. Orimura asks if she has already told all her high school friends that she has returned to Japan. She is very disappointed because the boy is a very slow person and doesn't understand anything. Orimura needs to go back to her room since it's getting cold and Hooky must have left the bathroom. Rin is quite jealous because they both share the same room. She asks him what the relationship is between the two, but he explains that they are just childhood friends. The first childhood friend she has met again, but she doesn't understand what this has to do with sharing showers. The management said that there is no way to have a room just for the boy, so he is forced to share it with her. Even so, Orimura is quite happy that it is with the girl. If it were with a stranger he would be very uncomfortable and wouldn't know what to do. Having something on his mind, he asks Hooky to switch rooms with her, but she doesn't know why she should switch rooms with her. But she remembers that at first Hooky didn't want to be in the same room as a man. Hooky replies that this is a matter between the two of them and doesn't think it's a big deal to share a room with Orimura. But anyway, he wants her to go back to her room. Before leaving, Rin asks if he remembers the promise they made to each other. Hooky asks her to stop being ignored. Taking her sword to sit on the girl's head, she manages to activate part of her armor to block the blow, thus leaving everyone scared by the power she demonstrates and the ease with which she controls her is. Rin asks her not to do that again. If she had been disarmed it would be very dangerous. Hooky is saddened by her ridiculous attitude, but right now that doesn't matter to Rin. Orimura would like to know what promise she's not remembering. Feeling quite embarrassed, Orimura managed to remember that if she got good at cooking she would cook for him every day. Orimura asks her to make food for him every day. Since he lives alone that would be a great help. Getting slapped in the face, she gets angry that he, being a boy, ignored all the commandments and forgot the real promise they made. Orimura, not knowing why she's so angry, managed to remember the promise they had. But she wasn't talking about that. Then he asks her to tell him the meaning of this conversation so he can understand it better. But she wants to make a bet with the boy. In next week's interclass competition, the winner will make the loser fulfill a wish of their choice. Orimura accepts without thinking twice and the girl asks him to get ready. So she leaves the place, but Hooky wants him to be kicked by a horse and die. So he doesn't understand what is happening to the girls who appear in his life. The bracket finally begins, but Orimura doesn't understand why he should face Rin in the first round of the battle. Upon arriving on the battlefield, if he apologizes to Rin, it will greatly lessen the pain he will feel when losing to her. Orimura doesn't want to and asks her to come at him with full force. Orimura goes for it and the girl manages to dodge all the blows with extreme ease as if it were nothing. Orimura manages to block the blow and the fight in the sky is quite lively for both sides. Taking both swords in hand, Orimura is having a lot of difficulty in the fight and doesn't know if he will be able to win. The battle continues at full steam, however, Orimura is at a great disadvantage against Rin. Orimura only knows how to defend himself and it is a matter of time until Rin gets tired. Keeping her distance, she calls him naive and launches a blow at him which he manages to dodge by a hair. But that was not the real blow. The real one appears on the boy's back and falls to the ground with the impact of the explosion. Orimura is having difficulty standing due to the impact and still continues to dodge the blows. In Orimura's mind, if he doesn't hit the girl first, he will end up being defeated. At this moment, he needs to use the same weapon as Shifuyu. What comes to his mind is the time when his sister taught him how to use a sword. The girl's question is whether a gunner like Orimura can survive a combat. Suppressing the recoil, calculating the trajectory and maintaining the distance. Making a sudden stop and turning completely. In addition, there is no question of the type of projectile and the atmospheric condition. It is a strategic battle where you must consider the effects of the opponent's weapons. There is more to it than just that, but you cannot do it. But she asks him to try to master something more extreme, knowing her younger brother's true potential. Orimura reminds him that he needs to use the barrier neutralization attack, but he wonders if he'll really be able to use it. Orimura makes it clear that this time he's going to fight for real. Rin gets angry and this time she's going to show the boy the difference between the two. His sister taught him this move, which requires him to use maximum speed, but he can only use it once. He starts to gain distance against the girl, dodging her blows with ease. Orimura comes back and hits her with everything he has. However, the battlefield barrier ends up being destroyed and no one knows for sure what is happening. Yamada explains that they are suffering damage to the system. Something seems to have penetrated the arena's protective barriers. Shifuyu tells everyone that the battle has been cancelled and that they need to leave the arena as soon as possible. The place begins to be covered by iron plates. Rin asks Orimura to retreat as soon as possible. It must probably be an enemy force. He will buy time while the boy runs. Orimura doesn't agree, but she doesn't intend to fight to the end. In such an abnormal situation, the teachers will take care of the situation immediately. About to receive a blow, Orimura steps in front and protects the girl, but notices that his power surpasses Cecilia's IS's potential. While carrying the girl in his arms, he wonders what that creature on the ground is. Asking to know what this creature is, at no point does it show any sign of life and is still. They both receive a message from Yamada telling them to return to the training center and not fight this beast. At the moment, Orimura doesn't want to do that. He needs to keep this creature occupied so that the other students can escape and take shelter. Yamada Yamada asks him not to do anything like that. They won't be able to do anything against this threat. Asking for help from Rin, she doesn't know what the boy is talking about, and the two of them defeating this beast will be very difficult. Suddenly, both are attacked. Managing to dodge, she goes after Orimura, who uses his best dodging technique. But from that moment on, everyone realizes that the enemy seemed very eager to fight. Rin asks Orimura to go ahead and support the boy so that he can defeat the creature. Shooting at Rin, he blocks, and both begin to fight in the darkness. Yamada is worried because both of them are not ready to fight this creature. However, Shifuyu is excited, and if they want to fight this beast, she will not stop them and asks them to keep fighting. They do not understand how the woman can have such a carefree attitude because it is her brother, but she just asks them to calm down and drink some coffee to sweeten their lives. In reality, what she is putting in the coffee is salt to show how nervous she is because her brother is fighting without even knowing what this creature is up to. Cecilia asks to be let go and fight to help them both. However, the barrier is at stage 4. If they let the two of them go and fight, they won't be able to get out of the barrier because the enemy has managed to do so. Meanwhile, Orimura is taking a beating from the enemy, and at this moment they can't get in touch with the government so that they can help them both. Orimura is not able to land any blows on his enemy, and his IS is running out of battery. They are both forced to retreat, and if they don't have a plan, they will end up being defeated by the enemy. Dodging the shots, the only thing they can do is that, but if they continue, they will soon run out of battery. Orimura asks to know if there is really a human inside that thing, because the movements are always very robotic. Rin thinks it is impossible for that to happen. There is no way to have an IS that is not manned. If it really is not a human, Orimura can use 100% of his power. He then asks Rin to shoot him in the back, and by doing so, he regains 100% power again. He cuts off the creature's arm and is immediately thrown away. Close to being eliminated, Cecilia appears using her best move to fight the enemy. With just one direct hit, Cecilia defeated the beast, and everyone realizes that there really were no humans inside the IS. That's what they found. Suddenly the IS starts moving again, and Orimura steps in front so that his friends don't get hurt, and the scene goes back to him lying in a hospital bed while Rin stays with the boy the whole time. When approaching him to give him a kiss, Orimura asks what he's doing, but he would like to know what happened to that IS that attacked them. She says that she is completely still and that no one but him was hurt. Orimura looks up at the sky and remembers that it was during sunset that they had the sweet and sour conversation. But for him, the proposal he had was only because of the food he would get every day. Rin is embarrassed, but if someone eats her food, she always ends up cooking it better so that she can please the person. Orimura would like to eat the sweet and sour pork that the girl's father used to make again. With pain in her heart, she says that her parents got divorced and the restaurant no longer exists. That's why she was forced to return to her home country. Seeing that she is very sad, she invites her to go out together to have fun, thinking it's a date. Suddenly Cecilia appears wanting to cure the boy, but notices that he is with Rin. Annoyed, she reminds the girl that she shouldn't take advantage of everyone while Orimura is sleeping. Cookie suddenly arrives, reminding her that the girl would like to take advantage of everyone when they are not all together. All the girls start arguing among themselves, and Orimura asks where her sister is, but they remember that she was there a second ago and suddenly disappeared. The scene changes to them in a room where the IS was an unmanned robot as they thought, with a core not registered in the system. There are only 467 cores scattered around the world, and this one is not registered in the system, so there is no way of knowing if it was stolen or something. The scene changes to the boy talking to one of his friends asking if he has ever picked up any chicks since the school is all girls. However, Orimura says that he is not there for that. He is happy because Rin transferred and now there are more girls he can talk to. Suddenly, his sister appears, breaking down the door, and becomes embarrassed when she sees Orimura in her room playing video games. But she starts to dress appropriately because she didn't know that Orimura would be there. He is on vacation from school, went to see his house, and showed up to talk to his friend. Next time, he asks his sister to knock on the door first so that she won't be considered a shy girl. Feeling embarrassed, she takes him to the family restaurant so that he can eat some food. Orimura asks her if she is dressed up because she wants to go on a date. His friend asks if he's really that dumb or if it's different at school. Not understanding what he means, he just feels sorry for Rin because she likes a wimp like Orimura. The scene changes to him being at ease in his room until Yamada arrives saying that Orimura is going to move to another room. Hookie asks to know if it's going to be immediately. Yamada thinks it's best to do this as soon as possible since a man and a girl together in the same room is somewhat suspicious in the eyes of society. Before she leaves, Orimura says that she'll wake up properly even without her. Getting irritated that he's a complete virgin, she leaves the room immediately, and Orimura wonders what he did wrong to make her so angry. Before going to sleep, Hookie suddenly appears in his room wanting to talk to him about the individual level tournament next month. If he wins, she would like him to go out with her. The journalist girls appear behind the scenes, thinking this is great and are going to publish it on the front page of the headline for everyone to see. The next day, all the girls are very excited. A rumor has started at school that whoever wins the tournament will have a date with Orimura. When he gets to class, the boy asks why they are all so excited, saying nothing. Suddenly his sister appears, pushing him and asking him to enter the classroom so they can start class. When he least expects it, a new student is introduced to the classroom, named Charles Dunois. He comes comes from France and is a man. He is part of the same situation as Orimura. All the girls are excited because there are now 2 male students in the classroom. Shifuyu asks them all to be quiet because they will be training together with class 2. He asks everyone to change as quickly as possible so they can start training. Shifuyu orders Orimura to guide Charles, since he is also a boy. Introducing himself, Orimura takes the boy's hand so the girls can change in the classroom, but he is embarrassed and leaves the classroom. Taking the boy to the arena, he asks why he is so embarrassed and acting strange, but he says it is nothing, so they continue walking hand in hand. Suddenly, several girls appear at the scene, having heard rumors that there is a new boy at the school. They all think Orimura is very handsome with black hair, but a boy with blonde hair doesn't look bad either, so they both leave the place so they can escape from these girls thirsty for flesh. Charles doesn't understand why all this fuss has happened. Orimura replies that they are the only men at the school, so the girls always go out and kill as if they were the only men on earth. But he just asks him not to stop running and go to the arena. After running for a while, they both stop at the arena because they manage to lose the girls who are chasing him. Orimura thanks Charles for coming to school. It's really hard being the only guy in school. He introduces himself as Orimura and it's a pleasure to meet the girl. Then they both have to get changed. Orimura takes off his shirt and Charles gets really embarrassed and even turns his face away so that he doesn't see his body. Charles asks him not to look at him. Turning around, he notices that he gets dressed really quickly and has an impressive technique. Orimura thinks the boy's outfit is really cool. He explains that his father makes a lot of these clothes. It must be the largest IS-related company in France. Orimura notices that it really does seem like the boy really does exude an aura of a rich person. However, Charles looks very sad and Orimura notices. The scene changes to the battlefield where the teacher asks Cecilia and Rin to show all their powers, but they both don't want to do something like that. The teacher knows the weak points of both of them and says that this is the time to show what they have best to Orimura. Getting excited, she says that this is the stage for her, the student candidate to represent England. Now both of them will show the great difference in skills as owners of personal units. But the teacher asks them not to be too friendly. Both will fight against each other and not fairly. When she least expects it, Yamada is falling from the sky and accidentally ends up landing on Orimura. He accidentally ends up grabbing her melons. If she continues like this, she intends to be Shifuyu's sister-in-law. Jumping off the top, Cecilia ends up missing the shot that was supposed to hit the boy out of jealousy. Rin also gets very angry and throws a spear at Orimura, and luckily Yamada manages to shoot and deflect the blow. However, it was just a bluff and the two will fight against Yamada, who is also a candidate to represent them. Neither of them thinks it is fair to fight against one another. Shifuyu says that they will lose extremely easily and that they do not need to hold back on their attacks. Both begin the attack and Yamada blocks the blows as if it were nothing. Meanwhile, Yamada continues to dodge the blows until the two girls collide, and she uses this gap so that she can attack both of them and take them to the ground, thus emerging as the great winner of the duel. As they fall to the ground, they both blame each other for having lost the fight. Then, Shifuyu asks them to understand now the real power between teachers and students. She wants them to show respect to them from now on, and then she wants them to train in groups. The owners of personal units will act as the great leaders. Suddenly, Orimura is surrounded by several girls asking him to be a great leader, and they all try hard to help Orimura. All the girls start to give a presentation to the two boys at school, and Orimura notices that Charles will have a lot of difficulty at the beginning of school. The boy is teaching all the girls how to ride the IS. Next is Hooky, who can't get on top of the IS. The next one remembers that they always make the same mistake and need to fix it as soon as possible. Yamada asks him to carry her to the IS. All the girls are very embarrassed because he is doing something like this to her and he hasn't done it to any other girl. Picking up the girl, all the girls get jealous and Hooky notices that this is the true position that the prince holds the princess. Feeling quite embarrassed, she asks Orimura if he has any plans for lunch, saying that she doesn't invite the boy so that they can eat on top of the building. However, she didn't expect that all the girls would be together with him. She asks what's going on. Orimura, she says that it's really bad to have lunch alone and decided to invite all the girls and Charles because he's new at school. She doesn't mind inviting the boy, but the girls are always fighting with each other. Charles asks if it's okay to stay there, and Orimura says yes because everyone likes the boy. Smiling, Orimura blushes a lot and Rin asks why. Returning to her bad guy pose, Rin opens the lunchbox and Orimura notices that she made sweet and sour pork. Cecilia also made some sandwiches typical of England. When she tried them, Orimura thought they were awful and decided to eat the rest later. Hooky opened her lunchbox and made all of this in the morning. Orimura noticed that it looked really nice, but even so, it must have taken a lot of work to make all of this food. After trying it, Orimura thinks it's wonderful and she should eat it. However, she ate all the ones that went wrong and he doesn't know it. Meanwhile, all the girls are very jealous because Orimura is really enjoying Hooky's food. Orimura thinks she should eat it and, without any malice, offers food to her mouth so she can eat a little. Feeling quite embarrassed, she decides to accept, and she really notices that this time she really took care of the food. Charles notices that what they did looks like a couple's thing and all the girls are quite embarrassed because of it. So the two girls decide to feed Orimura so they can be even. The scene changes to Orimura in the room with Charles, where he notices that living with a boy is really good. Can live freely, lightly and without worries. The next day, Yamada introduces a new student named Laura Bodwig, a transfer student from Germany. Everyone starts to find it a bit strange that there are 2 transfer students in 2 consecutive days. Shifuyu asks him to introduce her. Calling her instructor, Orimura notes that her sister spent some time in Germany training this girl. She introduces herself to everyone as Laura, and that's it. Everyone expected more, but that was all it was, and she goes back to her bad girl attitude. Suddenly, Orimura gets a slap in the face from Laura, saying that she doesn't accept that the boy is Shifuyu's brother. The scene changes to the battlefield, where all the girls are pestering Orimura so that he can teach them better how to pilot an IS. Asking them to stop talking for a bit, Charles appears at the scene asking for a little battle. Going after the boy, Charles manages to strike and appear behind him and fire several shots at him, thus managing to shoot and finish the boy in a very short time. Orimura explains to him that he cannot control his is very well and does not yet know about the commands or anything like that. Charles decides to teach the boy how to handle an IS more easily, helping the boy with the shooting factor. He manages to hit everyone with ease, when suddenly Laura appears, attacking Orimura directly so that they can have AX1. Charles steps in front and says that Orimura does not want to fight at the moment, and both begin to insult their IS. Orimura is restless in the men's changing room. Charles arrives at the scene asking if everything is okay. Thanking her for saving him, Charles decides to go back to his room, but Orimura asks that this time they change clothes together because they are 2 men and there is no need to be ashamed. Running away, Orimura doesn't understand what he did wrong and why he is so ashamed since they are 2 men. Returning home, Orimura only remembers the slap he received in the face from the girl. However, he hears her talking to her sister, asking her to go back to Germany. In that place, she can't use even half of her current strength, and the students at that school don't have enough strength or merit to be taught by her. Shifuyu gets angry, and since the 2 haven't seen each other for a while, he notices that she has become very proud and doesn't know how to treat people well anymore, and she can't go back because she has some pending matters to deal with at that school. She's acting like a 15-year-old girl, so she asks him to go back to the dormitory, and that's exactly what she does and runs away from the place. And from that moment, Shifuyu knew that Orimura was following and asks him to leave as soon as possible. We see a flashback in which Ishika had been kidnapped when he was very young, and Shifuyu gave up her victory in the final part of a tournament just to save him. After that, she spent a year in the German structure, and that's how she met Laura. Shika returns to the room and notices that Charles is in the shower, but he sees that his colleague forgot the soap. He goes to give it to him, but at that moment Charles is getting out of the shower completely naked. Charles was actually a girl, which obviously came as a shock. After some time talking, Charles comments that he has barely seen his father in his entire life, and that he only moved to his fiance's company after his mother's death. The company was going through a lot of financial difficulties since its second-generation suits were no longer being sold. To solve all this, the father thought it would be a good idea to use an image of his daughter to promote the company by posing as a boy and gaining visibility. He assured that Charles would be protected while she was in school, since while enrolled, the students will be part of a country or a company. Shika promises to do everything he can to make her feel better. Suddenly Cecilia shows up at the scene. They put on a show that doesn't seem too strange, but Cecilia doesn't believe it and leaves. He meets Hoki on the way. Of course, everything turns into a competition. As always, at the end of the day, everything is over, and Shika goes back to the room with food for Charles. Well, he didn't leave. Since Charles didn't know how to use the chopsticks very well, Shika offers to feed her. But the episode ends very differently in this atmosphere of friendship, with Lara promising to finish with Shika once and for all. While Cecilia and Rin were training, they were interrupted by Laura, who provoked them into a fight in front of the entire school. Laura is very powerful and has high technology. She can easily handle both of them, but she ends up getting out of control, really hurting them, forcing Shika to interfere in the fight. Even so, Laura manages to handle both of them as well, but everything is interrupted by Shifuyu, who forbade mourning until the interclass tournament. Cecilia and Rin were sent to the infirmary. Everything is calm until a crowd of boys appears to announce that the fights will be doubles, and that they were there to call the boys. Everyone leaves very disappointed when they discover that Charles would be paired with Shika. Besides, they couldn't be mad, since they were forbidden from participating due to their injuries. The next day the tournament finally begins to resolve the pending issues with Laura. However, something leaves them surprised. Those who didn't choose just a pair had them drawn. Rookie was unlucky enough to be paired with Laura. The first match would be against Shika and Charles. The fight starts off very difficult for Shika and Charles, and even though it's Laura's team, Rookie is pushed out of the way by her, as if she wanted to do everything alone. Charles manages to defeat Rookie in this opportunity. The fight continues between Shika and Laura. Together Shika and Charles notice a weak point in Laura's suit, and with teamwork they bring her to the brink of defeat. In Laura's mind we see a flashback, showing that she was a guinea pig for military experiments, born and raised only to fight inside the suits. Laura suffered a lot at a certain time, but in her mind, her master helped her reach her peak. However, Laura was very disappointed when her master realized that her brother Shika made her gentle, not strong as Laura knew her. She swore to destroy him for this. On the battlefield, Laura awakens the hidden power of her armor, becoming even more powerful. However, this ends up backfiring. She ends up being consumed by her suit. The school's security system. They are activated in an emergency, and the match is cancelled. field because there was a very serious problem at the location. Laura's suit was out of control. Laura in her enhanced form defeats Sheikah easily, who becomes furious for using this type of fighting from his sister. Charles recharges Sheikah's armor and leaves the fate of this fight in his hands. Using the true style of katana and mura, Sheikah manages to defeat the fake armor with a single blow, freeing Laura. Laura wakes up in the infirmary next to Sherfu, and she seems fine, despite what happened. A bathroom for the boys is finally open, since Charles was still pretending to be one. She takes the opportunity to talk to Sheikah, and she says that she will stay at school. For now, she should call herself Charlotte when she is alone, since that is her real name. Later, a new student is introduced, who was actually already at school. Charlotte and everyone knew that Sheikah was alone with her, and the girls freak out. Rin goes to personally explain Sheikah with his costume, but Laura saves him. When it's time to thank him, Laura suddenly gives him a kiss, saying that he would be her fiancé from that moment on, and that she wouldn't take no for an answer, shocking everyone, including him. Sheikah makes a sudden call to her sister, an inventor of personal cores. She already knew what it was. She had everything prepared. Only the personal unit itself had been created. Sheikah wakes up in a very strange and shocking way. Laura was in her bed completely naked, only covered by the sheet. She says that this is quite normal between a husband and wife. She lets Charlotte decide on the shopping for a day at the beach, since they were both without bathing suits. LB and his mother were being spied on by the other girls at the gym. Halfway there, Sheikah leaves Charlotte for the store. While she buys something else on the way, she meets a friend of her sister, but Sheikah is pulled out of the conversation by Charlotte. Because he had noticed that the girls were following him. But Sheikah is still inside the dressing room. See Charlotte start to change in front of her, leaving her in shock and without reaction. When she finishes, the teachers find her and scold her. They think she is doing something inappropriate, while the other girls watch everything. In the meantime, Laura is calling her special pilot, looking for bikini tips, and her friend has a brilliant idea. At the beach, Laura impresses everyone with the bikini she chose, and Sheikah can't help but notice how good it looks on her. The day was very fun for everyone, but at the end we have Etika, who did not participate in any activity and isolated himself from everyone. He was very thoughtful about his sister Taban, and his personal unit Akatsuha, with whom he wanted to talk in private. While talking to the girl, and Sheikah asked a question about what each of them felt, but the girl was not willing to let them have her brother so easily, telling us that she would have to steal him from her. Taban easily reaches the academy. Something big seems to be coming to an end. Everyone who has a special unit has been called for a mission. Okay was there, even in her unit, because she was there to deliver her sister Akatsuha's personal unit, a 4th generation model, the only one so far with the most advanced technology. The team began testing the Rokiai suit, but everything was interrupted by an emergency. A ranking mission. Apparently a suit called Gospi moved. It was being a crew member, but armed, saying that all the crew members of the special units would fight the Gospi, until Rokiai and Sheikah arrived. They wanted to take them down quickly with a combination of attacks to defeat them once and for all. The mission began and the crew members managed to reach the target, but the Gospi managed to escape the main plan, and being more prepared than they imagined, and Sheikah found a loophole to attack the Gospi. But there was an illegal fishing boat in the area. The others assumed they were criminals, but Sheikah didn't want them to die because of his attacks. Rokiai, on the other hand, ignored him, saying that criminals don't deserve empathy, to which Sheikah replied that he had lost his morals and let power go to his head. Rokiai was shaken by these words and hesitated during the fight, which forced Sheikah to protect her, resulting in a huge explosion that hit both of them. After the incident, they had to continue the mission, but with the plan failing, the Gospi managed to escape and disappeared. Meanwhile, Sheikah was recovering from the injuries from the explosion, and Rokiai felt very guilty about what happened. She remembered her childhood when Sheikah always protected her. This time was no different. Just like the new times, the girls appeared to offer support and the crew managed to locate the target again. Now Rokiai was at full strength and alone. She began to attack the Gospi even without the knowledge of the teachers. Sheikah, however, began to see strange figurines in her mind, and one of them offered the power to protect her friends and return to the battlefield. This figure is Gospi himself. The battle was very difficult while Gospi underwent a transformation, and Sheikah accepted the power of the entity. Everyone was defeated in the battle, but Sheikah appeared to save the day with his new power. Meanwhile, on the beach, the teachers finally noticed Sheikah's absence. With his second transformation activated, Sheikah appears completely reinvigorated and ready for combat with his new powers. Now it was time for the counterattack. After a lot of fighting, Sheikah managed to attack the Gospi with everything, using her special sword, knocking the target to the ground. Sheikah managed to break the Gospi's barrier. After that, even against orders, Sheikah celebrated with the crew since the mission was accomplished. They spent the rest of the day resting, and during the night they talked about what happened, and she still felt guilty, but Sheikah didn't care about that anymore. They ended up understanding each other with a beautiful moment of reconciliation. When they were about to kiss, they were interrupted by the other girls. The first season ends with Sheikah escaping from the jealous girls. The scene changes to Sheikah, where she is suddenly asleep. It looks like Laura in her bed the way she sees the world. But in reality, this time, she is not naked and Sheikah asks why she is wearing a bathing suit. But it was just a tip from her friends at the workshop where he was waiting for Sheikah to wake up all the time so he could give her a note or invite her to the festival. Laura wants to use Mikado with the boy. Sheikah wants to take everyone. She gets a little angry and leaves the place. And Sheikah doesn't understand understand why she's so angry. Outside, Cecilia has finally returned from her summer vacation, and at that moment, she just wants to see her beloved Chica being welcomed by the boy. I think he went outside just to see the table in the most deluded way in the world. Showing the ticket, he wanted her to go with him to the festival, and the girl accepts without thinking twice. The scene changes to Laura, where the girl is very angry because Chica has no common sense. She invited him to go with her to the festival, but in reality, he wanted to invite other girls to go with him, and she was very upset with him because of his sudden attitude. So, her friend wants Laura to go shopping for some clothes since the summer vacation is ending. When she looks around, she realizes that a group of girls have heard a rumor about the ghost crepe of the coast. If you eat a berry mix with your loved ones, love happens. They all get really excited. What connections can happen, and they are already thinking about doing it with Chica. The scene changes to Rin, who is really upset because nothing happened with Chica. She stayed at school because of the summer vacation and didn't get a single kiss from the boy. And when she least expects it, he ends up knocking on the door and gets really nervous, where she needs to change her clothes so she can meet the boy. Running out, Chica ends up entering her room without her permission and ends up drinking a Haruki and flying away. After seeing what he wanted to talk to the girl about, she gets quite excited because she is being invited to the festival by the boy. The scene returns to Laura, where all the boys are impressed by her beauty. As she changes her clothes, she wonders whether Chica would like it or not. Charlotte opens the curtain to the turn she has already finished changing. When she sees that she hasn't even taken off her school clothes, she thinks she must not like the outfit. Laura wants something that draws more attention. Seeing that she really needs to get another outfit, all the girls are left speechless at the girl's appearance. Meanwhile, Chica is inviting them all so that it can now be Haruki's turn, who accepts without thinking twice. Returning to the girls very suddenly, the two are invited to work, having no choice but to accept, and both do a great job. When least expected, a group of thieves appears on the scene and holds everyone hostage. Laura offers water to everyone. Throwing it up, she uses ice to finish them all off, and with refined blows, she knocks two of them to the ground. Dodging two shots as if it were a trick, Charlotte gives the man the final blow, and throws him away. With one more left, she grabs the gun. Laura manages to dodge again and grab the gun, thus knocking the man out with extreme ease. Seeing that it is under control, the boys get very excited and thank Laura for her help. The man says again that he cannot stop the chain and would rather blow himself up against the people who are there. In order to do that, the two grab their weapons and manage to shoot him before he even explodes. In order to save everyone's lives, he asks to know if there is more and if it is the checkmate. The scene changes to the two of them ordering a mixed berry mix so they can eat together. But it has been gone for a long time and they are both sad about the situation. As they sit on the park bench, Laura notices that there is no product that says mixed berry mix that people were talking about. It must be just a myth, or it really shouldn't be on the menu. When she gets home, Laura is very embarrassed about being able to buy a pair of pajamas that are really cute. Suddenly, Chica appears, a local calling Charlotte so that she can also see the festival. Laura is very uncomfortable with all of this. The scene changes to a woman who is being called by several people, where she ends up entering Area 6D as an intruder, dodging the bullets as if it were nothing. She goes around taking out and defeating one by one and gets all full of herself because no one can hit her. She came to the base just to get Yes, who is hesitant and likes to have it as soon as possible. Transforming, he is impressed by this girl's Yes, where he wonders if it is as much as Task. Meanwhile, the girls are all waiting for Chica, who doesn't know what is happening. They are very irritated because they think they are going to meet the boy. Not knowing why they are irritated is actually a gourd. After having a lot of fun, the scene changes to a girl, where she knows that it is Sarashiki Tadanashi's turn, and Chica is fighting the girl, where the teacher thinks that she must be dominating the fight. But her sister is sure that it is the other way around. He is fighting without thinking about anything and going only on instinct. Coming back to him, the next goal will be very decisive. He goes for it as if he were Luke without thinking. He ends up being defeated by his friend. Being cornered, Rin appears and defeats the boy. After being defeated, suddenly a girl appears asking to know who she is. Unable to find out, time runs out and it is the same girl from last night. Leaving the place, he should hurry up to get a scolding from his sister. Rimuru is angry because Chica was late for her first class. He asks Chica for an explanation, saying that she is late and that she met a girl. He is even more irritated that Charlotte scolded the boy. He activates his gun and starts shooting him because he is terrified. When he is taken to a girl's presentation, she is Sarah Chica. She is the same girl that Chica met a few hours earlier. She is the leader of the students. Seeing Chica wink at the boy. Regarding the next festival, they decided together the programs for each class. The scene changes to Chica in the classroom, where he is upset that his girls want to have a little piece of the same. He asks the teacher to know what she thinks about all this. She thinks it's good that Chica watches all the boys at school, since he's the only man. Lara suggests a maid's diner. They are all surprised by this very suddenly. She suggests that he should use the restaurant to recover the money that was invested. They all agree that he should arrive with the butler. Seeing that there is not much he can do, he decides to accept. And when he least expects it, that same girl shows up at the place. Having special classes, she would like to talk to the boy a little. From here she will now be the coach of the same DIS, with that not having many coaches. She will still be because Chica is very weak when it comes to battle. The idea is to train him so that he becomes a little better than he is now, taking the boy so he can train fencing. And Chica sees that he is always being underestimated. Then he shows the girl how many stitches it takes to make a canoe. She manages to knock him to the ground several times. Not wanting to be teased anymore, he goes after him. But he ends up taking off some of the girl's clothes, and she is very embarrassed by all this. The scene changes to Laura, who is worried about her appearance. Suddenly Uemura appears on the scene, feeling embarrassed. She doesn't see any problem in wanting to become a little more feminine. She just wants to have fun. And Chika wakes up very suddenly in the girl's lap. And when she least expects it, Laura appears in her room, going after Tadanashi, as if she were crazy, managing to block the blow with extreme ease. The scene changes to Charlotte and Cecilia training together. And when she least expects it, Chika appears on the scene and Tadanashi. She asks the two of them to help the boy with some moves so that he can improve Chika's combat. When showing it to the boy, the comment is that they are manually controlling the firing, all at the same time. In addition, the two of them are careful not to invade the aim. Seeing that she is getting very close to Chika, the two of them became jealous and ended up losing control of their equipment. Both of them start attacking Chika, but he ends up getting hit and falling to the ground. He manages to continue after a while. He ends up being defeated several times, and he arrives home dead. Albrapatna finds Tadanashi dressed as a servant. She asks if she wants to have dinner or take a bath. She goes inside so that no one sees her. Suddenly Hoki appears at the door of his room, offering him food. Hearing a female voice, he manages to break the door in half, while Chika contacts Tadanashi. Going forward, she manages to land the blow with ease, and at the moment she can't see Chika dead. The next day, Chika knows better how to find her blows in the sky. Trying to do what was asked, Chika ends up losing control and falling to the ground. She asks him not to interrupt the sequential attack while it is charging. Knowing that it is difficult, she does not want to talk to Gassen and asks him to continue with the training. When lunchtime arrives, he is dead, and all the boys are under a lot of pressure. He is very dedicated to his training. They all start to fight, so that Chika stays in her room. One of them warns that she ended up catching the dream, and everyone starts to see their beloved dozing as if he were an angel. The scene changes to Chika. It's a play where the girl who manages to get the boy's crown ends up living in the same room as him. Getting very excited, they go after him. Chika manages to get out of all of them, but when she least expects it, she catches a woman who wants the boy's master. Seeing that he has no other option, she is forced to transform herself. Shooting at Chika, she dodges the blow from the table. Seeing that he has great reflexes, the boy continues to dodge the blows, transforming completely. Chika realizes that she also has an IS. This is Arsh, right? Poison is this IS's strong point. She is from an evil organization. Asked to find out. This is Tum from the secret society of Panto's Taxi. I would believe her. Seeing that Chika doesn't know, she will let the boy die. With the explanation of her power. Going forward, he manages to dodge the blow. Seeing that she is very strong, he sees that she is going to strike from above and below. He ends up getting excited, as always, and ends up being hit, taking several shots. If he continues like this, he will end up being defeated. Seeing that he is very strong, and he thinks that he is not bad at all, the scene changes to the girls, who are ordered to see what is wrong around the school, and trying to find Chika. Seeing that there is nothing close by, suddenly he ends up being in this unknown woman coming towards them. Cecilia is terrified that this girl can use the BT. She was supposed to be the best, that she can use this equipment, but the enemy blocks the blows, as if it were nothing, and the scene returns to Tadanashi to help Chika, attacking the girl. She chases and pierces her chest, but notices that it is just a clone, and returns to normal soon after. Not being able to do much against the girl, she gets even more irritated, and returns with a blow against her, cornering Tadanashi, and she's all convinced of herself, and she soon asks if she's getting hot in the place, planning this thing with the girl with water. She says it's not over yet, but it really is, and Chika activates her attack. She goes for her. She manages to stop the boy's attack, and Chika goes after the girl. Finding her, she blocks a blow. She appears, and that little table is gone to save the girl, and Chika goes for the table, landing several blows. She manages to dodge them easily, but she ends up being counterattacked, and falling to the ground. The Otutan ends up being cornered, but the girl appears on the scene so she can save the table, and she sees that the version of her weapon in Laura is very weak. Receiving a message, need to return to base as soon as possible, so leaving the place, leaving equipment to destroy everyone. Luckily for Tadanashi, manages to arrive on time to contain the coup and save the students. Soon after, on the way back to the headquarters, where he discovered that equipment was stolen from England. Their objective is the Bataku Shiki, Chika's equipment. There are many things that you don't know about these people. Besides that, this equipment of Chika's, it could be much more than they imagine. The scene changes to the enemy base, where the two end up being received by the leader. The girl goes to her room, and after a while, she will finally be able to take her revenge against Uemura. The scene returns to Chika, who was the one who took the crown. It was Uemura. From now on, she will be in the same room as the boy. Soon after, all the girls decide to throw a surprise party for Chika, where they are all wearing different used clothes, and they are making different APKs with the same one. When returning to her dorm, suddenly a girl appears, introducing herself as Uemura Madoka, saying that she is Chika. In order to become who she is today, she has to eliminate the boy, going after him, managing to dodge his blows, but she doesn't know how long she'll be able to dodge these powers. Suddenly, Laura appears to counter the blow. Seeing for the first time the girl's other eye, she realizes that she is very beautiful. She gets embarrassed, and Chika asks to know why she's there, but she only went to have a moment alone with Chika. Feeling embarrassed that Chika made her say something like that, she ends up getting punched in the face. Soon our protagonist is assigned to the mission. He has to escort escort the IS equipment. Calmeros waits. Suddenly, they end up being attacked by a group of criminals. They go after them. They manage to defeat them all. They know how to do it easily. But another one ends up appearing behind them. They are in one of the containers. They blow up the place. Luckily, Chica manages to get in front to save the girl. The scene changes to the two of them in the classroom, where nothing serious happened to him, except that Chica's IS is damaged. Suddenly the girls appear, showing some bikinis to the boy. It's when he least expects it that the underwear and Charlotte ends up disappearing, so she runs away from the place. Then she thinks she must be having the same problem as Chica. Even the other day she didn't stay, and she always ended up disappearing. While Chica was helping the girl, Laura notices and reports it to one of her superiors that Laura is not wearing her underwear. Her teacher thinks she should be. She just doesn't see it, thanking her. She gets jealous that she has some romantic interests. Hanging up, and Chica helps Laura, but she leaves. She needs to find a way so she can get her IS. She won't be able to protect the IS for that. As they leave the place, they all ask questions to find out about the same antenna issue, saying that they need to protect IS. They all start fighting to see who will protect the boy. The scene changes to that same girl, where he is getting a good scolding because she is acting on her own. If she continues to attack without stealing from IS, she will end up being eliminated. She doesn't care whether she goes or not. Or Amira. She just wants this Pantotask GM. The scene returns to Chica, passing by her sister. She asks if she has any sisters besides her. She answers no. Chica is the only family she has. After class, she meets the girls. They are flattering him, talking about having a doubles tournament, even though she doesn't want to talk about it. That she wants Chica as her partner. She gives him several indirect hints, but doesn't get any of them. Returning to his room, he finds Tata Einisher, who would like Chica to take care of his sister, introducing him. Her name is Kansas Chi. She is very smart. Basically, she doesn't have an IS because of him. Her IS is from the same developer, from Byakushiki, the team that got involved with his IS, and left hers for later, apologizing. It's because of that he would like Chica to do it with her, the tag tournament, accepting to be the girl's partner. Meanwhile, they are all very happy because they think Chica will be their partner. When they meet the girl, they ask her if she wants to be her partner in tag. She refuses, and Chica insists every day, but she doesn't understand why. She says she would like to be her partner. She answers that she wants to be the girl's only species. She ends up getting a slap in the face. It is explained to us that her sister is Tata Einisher. She wants to create her own IS, just like she did, and Chica understands how she feels. The scene changes to the girl. This time, everything has to go right with her IS. In the air, she ends up breaking and losing her balance, and in her mind, only her sister comes to mind, turning her back, and now she is sure that she has not yet gotten close to her sister. Suddenly, Chica appears to save the girl, and the next day, Chica invites the girl to her group, and she accepts. The scene changes to Tata Einisher, telling Chica what she should do to help her sister, and Chica called several girls, and together they manage to fix the girl's IS. It's getting dark. She wants to please the boy, but ends up finding her sister, being from the same room, and realizes that everything was ordered by Tata Einisher. She is devastated, and doesn't know what to do. The scene changes to Tata Einisher. She introduces the two people to the key, and Chica goes out to look for the girl, so they can fight. When she least expects it, the place is invaded by creatures. The girl ends up in the wrong place, and at the wrong time. Suddenly Chica appears on the scene to protect her friend. Seeing that she is doing everything to help her, she wants to fight alongside him. They both start fighting the beast, but Chica doesn't have enough power, so the girl's sister decides to use everything she has to defeat this beast, and she can't do it either. When she faints on the floor, she is lost when she sees her sister in this situation. She gets angry. She goes after the beast, and manages to land an incredible sequence of blows, which also didn't do anything. Pena and Chica being grabbed by the neck. It didn't do any good, and I'm sure superheroes don't exist in this world. Because of taking a blow, her sister steps in front, and in her subconscious, that's her motivation. Returning to her current state, she delivers something that can defeat the beast. Soon after, and Chica also manages to get up. The girl dodges the blows, using 48 missiles. It wasn't possible. Soon Rim appears, so he can save her, managing to destroy the right arm, and Chica lowered her left arm, and ready for the final blow, but it still didn't work. But luckily, the crutch was placed on the beast, so they finally managed to defeat this creature. The scene changes to the two sisters together, where she is very happy that she is fine, and after a long time, they talked and reconciled, and at the end of the day, she gave Chica a gift, and said that she loved it, but in truth, she understood that it was the anime. Leaving the place, she realizes that she ended up saying that she loved the anime of One Day Being Rim. They all corner Kanzashi to ask about the relationship she has with Chica, saying that there is nothing wrong. They all feel better now. Soon after, on the terrace, they all meet, and Roki offers Chica food, and they all get angry because she is getting ahead. They all like to know if her food is really good, answering yes. She just can't say that about Sasira's food, so she was forced to ask Roki for help, teaching the girl how to cook. She ended up getting sick and can't go to school, so she decides to ask for help to Charlotte. When she says that Roki got sick thanks to the food, she gets really scared, and even so, she keeps helping the girl. Soon after, she ends up hearing the noise, and goes to see what it is. Sasira notices that there is a missing horn, and if there is any stew, so she decides to put something in. Upon returning, and realizing that her company is divine, she tries it, and then, right after, each one goes to their room. Laura wakes up in the middle of the night, and sees that Charlotte has prepared something to eat, and the next day, the two of them skipped school after defeating all of their enemies. On unintentionally. She apologizes to Chica for not being able to make food for the two of them to eat. Seeing that it's nothing special, he decides to teach the girl prepare food, and they both manage to do something magnificent together. The scene changes to the organization. Panta does the task, asking for Bunny's supply, not wanting to do the HES. Suddenly, one of his limbs appears on his back, and with beautiful blows, he manages to throw her away. Going for it, he also ends up receiving the blow when you least expect it. M appears on the scene, shooting at the girl. She manages to dodge, and appears on top of the gun, managing to defeat the girl. She doesn't mind making S only for herself, and she manages to guess the girl's name. Then she decides, and everyone eats. The scene changes to our protagonist, where the whole school, they went on the excursion after having a lot of fun, and they took several photos. At the end of the day, and Chica meets Honky, and they both decide to go out together. Suddenly, the leader of the Panto task appears, taking a picture of the two, and says goodbye. It was Chica's name, and he would like to know, how does she know his name? The scene returns to Iris, girls together, where they all want to see the picture, and the camera ends up falling off the cliff. Going in search, finds Amy, who wants to take the boy's life. Soon after, the scene changes to the leader of Panto task, meeting with Tadanashi, asking what she's up to. Seeing that she's late, he manages to catch the girl. The game will start now. While these girls are inside the train, which is being controlled by Panto task, the scene changes to the girls, where they are behind Chica. Suddenly, they end up getting shot. It's that time the girl from before, she doesn't let Chica find her. Meanwhile, Chica is cornered. She comments that it's not to eliminate Chica, but her sister, Rimura, launching an attack against Chica. He ends up being thrown away. The boy ends up fainting, and finally, impaled behind Rimura. The scene changes to Tadanashi, leaving the place in formation. The woman is in full swing to go after the girl. Soon he passes the news to his sister that there is a bomb on the train, and Chica wakes up. She goes after her sister, and Amy goes out defeating several people, knowing how easy it is. Soon the teacher receives the news of a magnificent force and of direction to them. The scene returns to Tadanashi, where she ends up being defeated by her friend, knowing how easy it is. Meanwhile, and Amy goes around defeating several people as if it were nothing, aiming for the girls on the train, and Chica appears in time to save the girls in time, going after the girl. This is a very exciting fight between them, and Chica knows that if she loses her sister, she will never forgive herself. The scene changes to the girls who got off the train, and they have to find a way to disarm the bomb. After a while, they manage to find it, and Laura manages to contain the blow so that it doesn't explode on people. Meanwhile, Chica is on the ground, and Ryuki is crying, begging her to wake up, but he is in her subconscious, and ends up finding Amy in the place where she ends up hanging the boy. Seeing that she cannot die in this place and leave her friends fighting alone, she asks her yes for help, and he grants it. Meanwhile, the girls are having a lot of trouble, and Chica comes back with her, and Tadanashika lands a blow on the leader, and Chica is fighting on equal terms with her enemy. They are both in an arm wrestling match, and Chica manages to stand out, but Amy's leader appears on the scene and throws Chica away. Seeing that there is nothing else to do, he needs to retreat as soon as possible, get enough combat data, resting, and Chica asks why, that it will soon be her sister, the girl's big target. And the anime ends with Chica. She ended up going into the wrong bathroom, where she finds two girls there, and ends up fainting because she took a very hot shower.